Good evening. All right. Welcome to Momentum Speaker Series. My name is Marvin Lopez, and I'm Director of Student Programs here in the College of Engineering. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Fall 18th edition of Momentum Speaker Series. How many of you have been to a Momentum Speaker Series? Sweet. Well, I know you guys have been. Sweet. So you're in for a treat. So Momentum Speaker Series is a program and a platform that we founded, and the royal we started a couple years ago to really give a forum and a platform for you and your peers to share with each other your insights and your experience on a number of topics like internships, entrepreneurship, research, etc. And so tonight you're going to hear from a number of students who have taken different paths to achieve a number of really interesting, had interesting experiences this past summer as either interns or studied abroad or in research, with the notion of the idea that they did it and you can do it too. There's no one way to achieve all these things that they did, and so we want to provide this opportunity for them to share their thoughts on how they did it so you can do the same next summer and be here next fall sharing your experience. I want to thank, first of all, our speakers. So lined up over here looking very dapper and ready to roll and confident. I can assure you that it's not easy to be up here talking, as you can see from my nervousness and how horrified I am at being up here. It is not easy to being up here sharing your stories and in particular their stories. So we thank you for taking the time. They'll also share not only how they got these internships and what they did, but the impact it made upon them and their careers and the organizations, the companies that were part of. So you'll hear not just how they got there, but what it meant to them. I also want to thank my team that put all this together. So Laura in the back, who takes care of all the marketing, everything you see here. Tiffany Reardon over here, who manages all our programs and worked with the committee. And Luis, who's in class. Yes, he's also in class. And the committee, the planning committee, starting with Mark and Andrew Ansel, who are actually the founding members and the founders of this program. So if you can stand and say hello. Yes, they are twins. And I'll go on a limb here. Andrew, Mark. Yes. It's taken a while, but hey, here we are. And the other committee members, I don't know where you're at. I see Andy in the back, Diego. Who else is from the committee? Rachel. I was going to announce you as an MC, but Rachel. Ethelbert. I don't see Ethelbert. Marielis. Nope. So we have 5 committee members, and we are looking for more. So if you're interested in being part of this or other initiatives in the college, please let us know. We'd love to have more. I think with that, I'll turn it over to Rachel Ornelas, who will be your MC for the night. Rachel, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Like Marvin said, I am Rachel Ornelas. I am a sophomore here, and I study nuclear engineering. I'm also in Army ROTC, so if you want to talk to me during the networking lounge, I'd be more than happy to. So a lot of our speakers tonight did prep or T-prep, so can I hear it if you guys also did prep or T-prep? Nice, nice. And now I know that this is a Berkeley Engineering event, but not all of our speakers are engineering majors. So if you aren't an engineering major, I want you to know that there is something here for you. And at this time, can you please raise your hand so we can thank you for going the extra mile to be here if you're not an engineering major? We got one. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that. All of Momentum does. We're happy to have all of you here. Like Marvin was saying, this Momentum was founded by Mark and Andrew to help you gain momentum in your academic and professional careers. So this is a networking event. So at this time, I'd like you to take the time to introduce yourselves to the people around you for a minute. Nice to meet you, Saul. Wonderful. Thank you. I hope all of you made a new connection, a new friend, or a few. Now I'd like to get to the speakers. There are 6 speakers here today, all who have done either study abroad or an internship this summer. And they're all going to be willing and eager to talk to you afterwards at the networking lounge. So our first speaker is Kevin, and he did an internship in San Diego with Northrop Grumman. While he was there, he did CAD and mechanical design to help design parts that would go on airplanes later. So please join me in welcoming him. Thank you.
My name is Kevin Mahoney. I am a senior studying mechanical engineering, and I interned at Northrop Grumman in San Diego, and I'll talk to you about why it was a Cloud9 aerospace experience. So at Northrop Grumman, I was initially hired for a systems engineering role, but I got transitioned onto a mechanical engineering role hence I am a mechanical engineer, and someone within a program saw my resume and thought I was a good fit. So I moved to a mechanical engineering position, which I really enjoyed. I worked within the mission systems sector of the business, solely on communication systems. I'll go into that a little more, but basically I designed parts in which allowed for communication between different armed forces for what I did. And I recently interned there last summer in 2018. It was from May to August, and then I recently accepted a rotation offer, which lasts for 3 years full time. Thank you. Appreciate it. So getting the internship was a very interesting experience. I remember that I really wanted to intern at a large company. So at a large company, and I remember hustling quite a bit, trying to go, do a bunch of interviews and getting rejections. Some of the lists of rejections are that of Boeing, which I got rejected this year, but it's okay. Tesla, all these different places, and it's really just a matter about you being persistent. Because what happened was that I went to a cool conference called the SHIP Conference. That year was in Kansas City. Really fun place. I enjoyed all the barbecue. And it was based on these 2 individuals, Marvin and Tiffany, who helped me get the internship that I did. So the story was that I knew a recruiter at the company based on other events that I've done. I've been to past Northrop Grumman sort of talks and when they came on campus. So I knew this person. And then I went to the conference and I saw him there. So we chit-chatted a little bit, and I met some of the other people on the team. And they told Marvin and Tiffany that they remembered me and that they were interested in me. So I decided to go to the Northrop Grumman booth the next day for the career fair on that day. So I went straight to that person that I knew. He was rather stark, saying that, okay, we have to look at your resume. We'll look at your resume. We'll contact you if you're a good fit. 20 minutes later, I got a call asking to get an interview. So I proceeded on to my interview within a time frame of 10 minutes. And then I had an interview with 20 minutes, actually with the director of systems engineering in San Diego. So this was a pretty high up person within the corporation, no pressure, but that went really well. It was a really fun experience. He was very kind and very interesting, and he really wanted to get to know me and how I could, provide skills and just how I can contribute to the company while also trying to understand more of my side. So at the end of the interview, I got an offer, which was really interesting, having no offer within 1 hour to having an offer at the end. I didn't know that was possible. And I signed the offer because I thought it was a great opportunity. And the experience was really interesting. I specifically worked on these aircraft. So this is the Bombardier BD-700. A Canadian company built this jet, and then we also have the Global Hawk, which is a surveillance drone. Northrop Grumman builds these aircraft. So what I basically did was that I designed the communication components that went in payloads, which is basically what's inside the body of the aircraft. So I did a lot of design work with CAD, specifically within SolidWorks. I did quite a bit of production work as well. I worked with 3D printing, and I did testing on some of the parts that are 3D printed before you actually produce it. And I also worked to make sure that a lot of the components on the floor sort of matched specs and everything was going to schedule and everything was going okay. So I got some floor experience, which is really fun, and I got to go on internship trips as well. I got to see the James Webb Space Telescope, the part not in NASA on the East Coast, but within Space Park within Redondo Beach in Southern California, in addition to seeing the FA-18 assembly line in El Segundo, also in Southern California. So certain reflections that I have, I was really glad to finally experience a large Fortune 500 company. I had to hustle a little bit to get to that point, but it really just takes persistence and really knowing what you like and really understanding when an opportunity may happen. I'll talk a little more about that at the end. And then I am also interested in going to the aerospace sector for my first rotation, since I'm interested in planes, hence why I liked working here. So I hope I can start on that first, such that I can get more aerodynamics and other types of aerospace experience. And I also really enjoyed the amount of tuition assistance that I was able to get. If I once I go full time, they are very good about funding master's programs and people really furthering their education as well, and also relocation benefits. That's a big aspect you have to look at as well when you move somewhere else. And certain takeaways, I got to go surfing. Coming from Vancouver in the Bay Area, the weather doesn't always allow for this, so I definitely went into 80-degree water at the beach. It was really that warm. So I really felt like networking is extremely important. Really talk to people, get lunch with like higher up managers or just different people, like entry-level people that you want to talk to or who you want to be, but also meet with other interns, try to network with them and keep in touch. Really found myself aligned with the mission as well. At first I was a little hesitant. There's a little controversy around this type of industry, but I realized that national security and the defense of the United States and our fellow allies are very important within the future, and go to conferences as well. Conferences are definitely a great way to get internships and to get jobs. They hire on the spot. It's amazing. And I think that is it. So you can feel free to email me at kmahoney@berkeley.edu. It's on the screen. Feel free to LinkedIn, connect with me. Just search my name in the search bar, and I'll be out in the networking lounge to speak with all of you. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Kaffa, and this summer she spent her time on Wall Street interning at Goldman Sachs, where she worked on a team analyzing operational risks and providing solutions. Please welcome Kaffa.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kaffa. I'm a senior student studying applied math. I am very honored to be here today to share my experience with you and also learn about the experiences my other peers have had this summer. I wish I had more pictures to actually supplement my materials, but I don't, because we weren't allowed to take pictures in the building. And I know they say if there are no pictures, it probably didn't happen, but it did happen. I interned this summer. So yeah, my story with the Berkeley Engineering community started in my freshman year when I used to come to the Engineering Student Services to get tutoring with my friend who's a bioengineering major. And there I met the president of the Black Engineering and Science Student Association. And that's how I joined the club, the BESA Club, and I participated in the annual trip to the National Society of Black Engineers Conference. So my first trip to that conference was very interesting because it was my first time going to a very big career fair, and I had no idea how to navigate such an environment. So I walked from booth to booth, talking to company recruiters, and we would have very exciting conversations until the question of, will you need sponsorship to work in the United States in the future? And as an international student, the natural answer was yes. So at that point, the conversation went down, and that's how I knew I got a rejection. So from walking from booth to booth, getting the same answer, I left the conference with a lot of rejections and also a lot of company goodies. So when I got, yeah, I mean, you have to come back with at least something. So when I came back, I reflected a lot about that experience. So I said, between now and next year, I have to polish my skills, make a great resume, and make sure that when I go back next year, that question will not even come up. So I did that, went back the next year to the same conference, walked from booth to booth, and got the same answer again. And at that point, I was very confused and discouraged. And Marvin was there at that conference, and he told me, I think you should really take a walk around the financial services side. And I did that. I had 3 resumes left in my hand, so I said I might as well leave them here before I go back to Berkeley. So I went to the Goldman Sachs booth, and there was someone there. They saw my resume, and they said, these skills actually really do match our risk division. And I'll explain what the risk division at Goldman Sachs actually does. And so when I talked to that recruiter, they took my resume and we followed up in the next summer, and I applied to the Goldman Sachs Risk Division internship. And after like very long interviews, I guess you guys know that for banks it's like 6 interviews in one day. I got the offer, but I just want to zoom back to my 2 previous years where I didn't do an internship. It was very discouraging, and I was scared that everyone else around me was getting an internship and I wasn't going forward with my career. But the second time I went to the conference, I didn't go back home with only rejections. I went back with also a lot of business cards, and I gained a mentor from IBM, from whom I met at that conference. And I also got an opportunity from Twitter to do the Develop Her program. And that I could add it to my resume. I met new people, and that the companies found that pretty impressive. So during my internship at Goldman Sachs, I was in the risk division. More specifically, I was an operational risk intern. So since the 2008 financial crisis, the bank regulators around the world have put a lot of emphasis on how banks make activities, and they want to put pressure on them to be more conscious of what they do and to analyze and identify the factors that could make them go bankrupt. So the risk division is basically responsible for identifying those risk factors and also managing them and making sure that the banks don't go bankrupt. So my day-to-day activities involved me looking at operational risk events across the firm, and that included failures in the technologies we used across the firm, and more specifically in the securities and trading teams. And I also looked at failures in systems. For example, if the whole building in New York shut down, the operational risk team has already prepared for how we should react to that. So I quantitatively and qualitatively analyzed that and provided solutions for it. And I also created the specification for an application that will automate the way we check the data accuracy of information that is provided to the team when it comes to operational risk events. So that application is currently being built and will be used by the firm in the future. So I really enjoyed my time in this team because I got to do as much qualitative and quantitative work as I wanted to do. And I also liked being in New York. My internship wasn't just about being in the office. I was also volunteering as part of the internship, and I explored New York City, making new friends. I enjoyed Times Square, going to the Met, and eating street food. So And so the internship was very enlightening to me because when I was going to Goldman Sachs, I didn't know about financial markets as much as all the other nerds I met there knew about it. So what I did is that I asked as many questions as I could because I knew I had 10 weeks and I need to learn as much as I could. And by doing that, I gained a lot of financial literacy. I understood financial technologies, capital markets, and financial markets, how they operate, and that helps me understand what are the risks that can emerge from such activities. And I also learned about the process of creating an application. It's not that easy. It's not about us sitting behind our desk and coding it. It's about asking everybody who's going to use that product, what do they want, what do they think is useful to them. And that process is hard because you're going to work with people who are in India, in London, in China, and they don't all want the same thing. So my 10 weeks was basically about that. And the most important part about this internship was the personal skills that I learned. I came there very scared, but I have learned to be resilient. I've done a lot of mistakes, a lot of them, and that's part of the process while being an intern there. But the most important part was for me not to dwell on those mistakes, but to learn from them and move forward right away. So I also learned about Tableau and Excel, which was very good. And so what I want to talk to you about is the fact that this process is not linear and it doesn't have to look like what everyone else's journey around you is like. I've been with people who've gotten internships since they were freshmen, and if I projected myself on those people, it wouldn't have worked out this way. It doesn't have to be an internship the first summer. It can be anything, as long as you're making progress towards your self-development. And if you have any questions about anything, studying at Berkeley or the internship, you can reach me at this email address, and I'll be happy to chat with you at the networking lounge. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaffa, for sharing with us the obstacles that you faced as an international student and describing how you overcame them. Our next speaker is Josh, and for his summer, he spent his time in Denver, Colorado, where he interned for the Department of Energy, working on everything from batteries to solar panels and even cell towers. Please help me in welcoming Josh.
As Rachel mentioned, I'm Jash Vora. I'm a junior studying energy engineering here at Berkeley, and let's get started. Wrong one. Just a little bit about me. I'm also an international student like Kaffa. I'm from Mumbai, India. I am very interested in renewable energy and energy policy, and I think that intersection of engineering and policy is going to be the future moving forward. And just a fun fact about me, I'm a licensed scuba diver, so if any of you want to talk about scuba diving, or if any of you are divers, please let me know at the networking session, because I need to find some new dive spots nearby. Sorry about that. So let me just tell you a bit about my experience in Denver over the summer. As Rachel mentioned, I worked for the Department of Energy, and more specifically in the Office of Legacy Management, where I was an asset management intern working with the asset management team. This internship was really cool for a lot of reasons, but the main reason is I was able to combine my love for electrical engineering, for hardcore electrical engineering, with policy and research. And this was a good learning experience because it really showed me that engineering just doesn't mean that you're going to be solving differential equations for the rest of your life. There's a lot of real life impact to an engineer's career as well. So don't just think that you're going to be sitting in front of a screen or solving math equations forever. There's a lot that engineering teaches you, which is analytical, and that really helped me sift through hundreds of pages of policy memos and research papers regarding cellular infrastructure or even vanadium batteries. And finally, like I said, it was a cool experience because I got to do everything that I wanted to and more. I keep getting the slides wrong. So I just wanted to talk to you about a few takeaways that I had from this internship. The first thing I learned is, apart from these bullets, is that being an international can be a hindrance, but it's not the end of the world. Going into this internship cycle for the previous summer, I didn't even consider public sector companies or organizations because I thought that there's no way that me, an international from Mumbai, India, is going to work at the Department of Energy. It just seemed ludicrous at the time. I spent hours and hours on Handshake, as I'm sure you guys are doing as well, scrolling through different organizations, trying to find cool private sector companies to work for, when I stumbled upon this internship program that offered the chance to connect students regardless of their nationality to cool positions at government organizations, and that's how I was able to find this internship. And so some of the things that I learned from this internship were being Berkeley students and being Berkeley engineers means that you have to go the extra mile in whatever it is that you do. Your boss may tell you something, your boss may tell you do X, Y, Z, but do something more, take that extra step, show them that you have the initiative and that you have the drive to carry on and to do more than what is asked of you, because that really leaves a good impression on your managers. The other thing that I learned was talking to everyone at the position that you're in is amazing, and that's probably my most useful learning experience. Pause that, sorry. You're good. Talk to everyone. I was able to speak to policy researchers, to scientists, to people who conduct lab experiments, and they all had such unique experiences, and it left a really lasting impression on me because there's a lot of things that you don't know that go on in the public sector, and it's really interesting and really heartening to see the different paths that people have taken to reach where they have. And everyone that you meet at a position, even in your classes, everyone is going to go on and do great things, so it's always good to keep in touch with them. And finally, the great thing about public sector companies, and a lot of times this gets overlooked, is that your work hours are awesome. I went into the office at 8 a.m. every day, and I was done at 4, no questions asked. It was a 40-hour week, my hours were very defined, and that meant that I could explore the beautiful state of Colorado. My internship program was really generous. It's called the Urban Energy Garden Program, and I've linked their website at the end. They encouraged me and the other intern to go out and explore the state and the city of Denver as much as we could. In fact, they provided us free tickets for a concert at the Red Rocks Amphitheater, which is by far the most beautiful venue I've seen in my life. And we also got to hike a few mountains. So just remember that what you do in the office, like Kaffa said, is not everything that you're going to do in your internship. So just some tips for your search. First thing is be broad. Be as broad as you can. Don't just limit yourself to private sector companies or to just one specific dream company that you have in mind, because oftentimes there's a lot of things that are out of your control and it may not always work out. So just keep an open mind. The way I found this internship, like I said, was scrolling through Handshake and scrolling through pages and pages of Handshake until I found this really cool program that fit my description really well. So just remember, don't just limit yourself to 3 or 5 companies. Always make sure that you have your mind open, because you never know what you're going to find. Building off of that, don't worry about rejections. Now, I can speak for all the speakers here that we've all faced rejections. It's not the end of the world. Sometimes, like I said, there's things that are not in your control. It may not be completely your fault. And also, rejection isn't a closed door. You know, just because you're rejected from a company 1 year doesn't mean you're not going to get in the next year. So don't feel disheartened. It's okay. Not everyone's perfect. I would say, just carry on. And finally, use the Berkeley network. And this is something that I wish I had done more of last year, and I'm starting to do now. Berkeley Engineering is, for a reason, one of the best engineering programs in the country, if not the world. Make good use of it. The peers sitting next to you, even if you don't know them, they're all going to go on and become big shots at some companies or start their own startups, you know? So always make sure that you keep in touch. There's been people who have been in the exact same seats as you, who have done the same classes as you, who have all failed in the same midterms as you. Don't worry about it. Please reach out to them for help, whether it's on LinkedIn or Berkeley's alumni database. Always make sure that you project yourself well. Tell them you went to Berkeley, and they can help you out a lot. And in fact, I've had a lot of pleasant experiences on LinkedIn, just reaching out to fellow energy engineers, asking them what they've been up to. And that's something that's really taught me more than any course could have ever taught me here. This doesn't seem to be working. Oh. Yeah. Oh, one more. Sorry, it seems to be hung. Apologies, technical difficulties. Anyway, that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for coming out. As always, I'll be more than happy to talk to you at the networking session, and I've linked my email address as well as the link to the internship program from which I was able to work at the Department of Energy. Again, thank you so much, and I look forward to talking with you at the networking lounge.
Thank you, Josh. I really enjoyed hearing about the diversity that's available with a government internship. So our next speaker is Saul, and he spent his summer in Portugal, where he did a study abroad program. While he was there, he took part in the European Innovation Academy, and with a team, created a website that he pitched to people in a competition. Please join me in welcoming Saul.
So yeah, my name's Saul. I'm a sophomore here at Berkeley, studying electrical engineering and computer science. And let me tell you about my adventure. So, my study abroad experience revolves around the European Innovation Academy. It's a 4-week excursion in the city of Porto and Lisbon. Now, the first week is Leadership Week. In this week, we spend an entire week learning about what it means to be a team leader. And oftentimes, that may mean not even leading at all. I'll give you an example. One of the challenges we were tasked with was a scavenger hunt to find a particular building in the city of Porto. However, there was a catch. Somebody in our team already knew where the final destination was. Now, while our team was busy trying to figure out useless clues, we had wholly ignored that one person. At the end of the game, we all gathered together, and the whole plot was revealed to us. And that day, we learned a very valuable lesson, that the voices of everybody matters, and that we should be attentive to the quietest voices in our teams. Now, it's Lessons like that we took on to the next 3 weeks of the program, which is the actual European Innovation Academy. Now, at the core of the European Innovation Academy, it's a startup competition. And 400 students from around the world come together to start a company in just under 3 weeks. It's a very daunting task. So my startup was an idea to pitch, essentially answering the question, what should I do today? It's a Thursday afternoon, you have nothing left to do, and you don't really have, the money, the time to go out and go to a concert at some big venue. So instead, you take out this application on the fly, and immediately in real time, you'll be able to see exactly what is happening around you. Maybe there's a garage band playing 2 minutes away from you. Hey, Home Depot is having an event for families. Maybe you should take your little sister. Or maybe there's a pickup game of soccer. Those are the types of events that On the Fly was meant to show you. Now, at the end of the competition, the top 10 companies, the ones who won over the hearts of investors, get to present to the entire audience of 400 students. Now, unfortunately, our team didn't make it to top 10. But that's okay, because I learned many, many valuable things about myself and what I want to do with my life. One of the things I learned about myself is that I'm no longer interested in joining industry right after college. I was thinking that maybe I'd go to Berkeley for 4 years, graduate, and then probably work at Google, Microsoft, the big shots. But then I realized after EIA, that's not what I want to do anymore. I realized that there's a whole new world out there, something more than just the regular graduation track. And now I might even consider starting my own company. And that's not a scary thought anymore. But that's something I would have never have thought about had I not gone to EIA. Secondly, I've also took on passion for new languages. Now I'm interested in learning Portuguese, something I would have never have thought about. I'm pretty content with just knowing Spanish and English, but something about learning languages really shows you how the rest of the world thinks, how to think differently, and the perspective of other countries even. And I think most importantly, I made new connections in the rest of the world. I have friends in Portugal, Ireland, Canada even, and these people, we still catch up from time to time. Connections I would have probably never had the chance to make anywhere else. And I think that's truly one of the amazing things about studying abroad. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, yeah, that sounds all nice and dandy, but why should I do it? Well, I think primarily it's the interest in learning the new environment. Maybe you go to EIA and you find out, hey, I really like the startup culture. Hey, maybe I don't want to be a regular graduation and go to a corporate job. And that's great. Or you may find out that, hey, I don't like startup at all, and that's even better, because now you don't want to do that, and you know that your position in life is secured. But I think beyond that, you also get to experience the culture of other countries. In my time there, I went to Madrid, and I got to see what a waiter is like in Madrid. And I'll tell you, they're not very polite. So, but that's okay. And I also got to experience Portugal, one of the most beautiful countries I've ever seen. And I think one of the memories that sticks with me is after the first few days of the competition, we would walk out to the beach, and I would dip my feet into the water, and I would look down and just see this beautiful, clear water. And I think to myself, oh my God, I am in the Atlantic Ocean. I would have never thought I would ever have seen it, in fact. Now, one of the I would say perk is that you'll get course credit for Berkeley. I got 6 units, which have helped me out a lot, and maybe might help you too. And then, now I didn't know this, but actually, upon completing the European Innovation Academy, you'll receive the Certificate of Entrepreneurship and Technology. And I was informed by Tiffany that's actually a really big deal, and I earned it in 1 summer. Actually, apparently students revolve their whole 4 years around earning this one certificate, and you'll learn it in just 1 summer. Now the search process is pretty typical. You can reach out to alumni like me, so if you want to talk to me afterwards, I can get you in touch with the right people. You can look online, and you can do that. But there's somebody here in the audience who I would have never heard about EIA. She's sitting right there, name's Bailey. She's a wonderful person. But I think she saw something in me, and she said, hey, this person is great for EIA. And now I'm looking here at the audience, and I'm thinking the exact same thing. There's something about you guys being here. Just being present is already proven to yourself, that you're willing and motivated to achieve something out in your life, to go out there, go beyond just California or America, and see what else the world has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Saul, for sharing with us how fun, yet intense, and rewarding a study abroad program can be. Our next speaker is Miriam, and she spent her summer in Washington State where she interned at Bechtel. And while she was there, she worked on coming up with solutions that would help clean up petroleum generated from World War II. Please welcome Miriam.
Hi, everyone. My name is Miriam, and I am a third-year mechanical engineering student here at Berkeley, obviously. So today I want to talk to you guys about how I secured my first internship, and I'll explain the against all odds part as we go along. I had a few difficulties along the way. So first I want to tell you about what I actually did this summer. So this past summer, I spent my time in Bechtel. I was a construction mechanical field engineering intern, which is a mouthful. But basically just meant that I worked in the construction sector as a mechanical engineer out in the field. So my job basically revolved around installing the mechanical equipment in the new buildings that we were building. You can see that right there. That was actually the building that I was working on the most, and then this was the second most worked on building. And so I worked out in Richland, and so basically, like Rachel stated, we were trying to clean up all the plutonium that was created while making the bomb for the World War II. So my responsibilities basically involved trying to figure out how all the equipment was placed out in the building, and a lot of my job was realizing that the engineering team out in town actually made a lot of mistakes, or they forgot a lot of stuff. So I actually got to work on fixing all the mistakes and figuring out how to make the design work. So Bechtel actually made our intern life really fun. They organized a lot of activities with us. For example, we actually got to have a 4th of July barbecue at the whole site manager's house. We got to go to his house. We got to talk to all the higher up managers there. It was really amazing. We made some really cool connections. We also got to go whitewater rafting. I don't know if you guys have done that. It's really scary. So they organized a lot of events like that for us, and I had a lot of fun. So Bechtel definitely does a good job of keeping their interns excited for the work. But to get there, it was kind of a struggle. So I actually got my internship by going to the SHIP conference, which is the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. And at that conference, I actually got sponsored by the College of Engineering. They paid for my hotel, my registration, and my flight. So it was a really good opportunity. And like Kevin said, he had the help of Tiffany and Marvin, who are really helpful for polishing resumes. Thank you very much. And so while I was there, I made sure to attend all the networking and workshopping sessions that I could, because I believe that that's the place where you can find the most connections just by talking to everyone, as many people as you can. Here at Berkeley, I do a lot of my networking by going to the Cal Career Fair and all the info sessions for all the companies that I'm interested in. For Bechtel specifically, I met them at the SHIP conference in November, and then I didn't hear back from them until 4 months later in late March. So it was quite a long waiting period, so if you guys ever apply to a company and they don't respond to you, don't let that discourage you, because they're probably just busy. So once I got that call from them, I had a 1-hour interview with a field engineer out in Richland where I was going to work, and in less than 2 weeks, I knew that I had gotten the internship. Since the conference was such a big part of my the way that I got my internship, I just wanted to share a few tips and tricks that really helped me out when I was there. So first of all, make sure if you get the opportunity to go to a conference, please go and apply to all the positions you want to talk to people for before going to the conference. a lot of the recruiters already expect you to have applied before you go. And if you apply, you'll be eligible for more like on-the-spot interviews and on-the-spot job offers, which is quite amazing, like Kevin's story proves. Also, before going, make sure to look at all the events that are planned out and schedule out everything that you want to go to. It's always good just to have like a plan so that you're not just like on the day of the conference wandering around, looking at the room, seeing if any of the talks seem interesting. You want to already know what you want to do, and so that way you have a purpose. Also, a lot of conferences offer challenges that you can do. Like you can like do like a design project and then you present, and at the end of it you like win money, or you like get like an opportunity to interview for a certain company. I would recommend staying away from those and instead going to all the workshops and networking sessions that you can, because you will probably have more chances of meeting who you need to talk to for the position you're trying to get at networking sessions instead of at challenges. For careers fair specifically, I have a certain method that I like to use and that I find that's very effective. So basically you write all your companies down and you label them as A, the A companies who are, yes, I really, really, really want to work for them. B, I would like to work for them. And C, I would sort of like to work for them, but like I'd be okay without it. And so go talk to your B companies first before talking to your A companies. That way you can nail down your elevator pitch before messing up your top like choices. So that would be my highest suggestion. And then from working at my internship, I have a few small, did I click the wrong way? Yep, okay. For working at an internship, I have a few small little tidbits that I learned while my time there. Be willing to learn. Supervisors love that you are actually willing to learn their method before trying to implement your own. Also, always be kind to everyone. I accidentally met my boss's boss without knowing that it was him, and it was just a good thing that I was respectful. So always be nice. You never know who you're gonna meet. And be willing to make friends. Interns make great connections on LinkedIn, and they could also connect you to anyone else at other schools that you're looking for. So have a good time, and don't be afraid to have fun. So thank you everyone for coming out. Feel free to talk to me outside if you have any questions. I just got an internship from Boeing for this next summer, so if you have any questions about how I did that, let me know. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Miriam, for sharing with us your story and how valuable academic improvement can be to the professional world. Our next speaker is Beshoy, and he spent his summer in San Francisco, right across the bay, interning at United Airlines, where his efforts earned him the privilege of being the only intern who was able to directly work on the airplanes. Please welcome Beshoy.
Hi everyone, so my name is Beshoy Tawfik. I'm a senior year mechanical engineering. I was a transfer student from Diablo Valley College, and I was also a member in the T-Prep program. I have 4 previous internships. One was BART, one was San Francisco Airport, the city and county, and 2 was United Airlines, and finally a full-time offer from Boeing. So my journey to United Airlines started by applying to a totally different company. So I was too scared to apply to United because I thought they are gonna reject me. I don't have any aviation experience. So I applied for something related to it. I applied for San Francisco Airport. Luckily enough, I ended up working in this hangar. So this hangar is used by United Airlines. That is totally luck. While working there, I was on the lookout for the internship at United Airlines, and once they posted it on LinkedIn, I ended up applying 6 hours after they posted the link. After that, I got an invitation for a video interview where I was just talking to myself in a computer. The second one, I had a group interview in their headquarters in Chicago. One of the interviewee with me was a guy who did the internship 2 times, and he was a pilot. They didn't take him, they took me. So don't get discouraged by who is having the interview with you, no matter what. So as an intern for United Airlines, you can work for engine overhaul, you can work with hydraulic lines, reverse engineering, or you can work with landing gear overhaul. As for me, I ended up working as a component support intern in the San Francisco maintenance base, where I worked in the overhaul of the thrust reverser. And the thrust reverser is this component around the engine. So every time you are in an airplane and it lands, you will hear this whoosh sound. This is simply the thrust reverser reversing the thrust from going back and pushing the airplane forward to pushing the thrust to the front. And by that, you will end up getting aerodynamic braking. That is how they end up stopping the airplane. The price of one unit, one thrust reverser used is about $250,000. So you will realize how important the work you will do, the work you will do there. It is not just games. As an intern, I was always an intern who was willing to raise his hand. Either I know how to do it or not. Someone want help with any project, I will raise my hand and I will just tell them, I don't know how to do it, but as long as you're willing to answer my question, I will do it. So as a result, I work on a project that no other intern ended up working with. So for example, I worked for tool design, where I was using my own laptop, my own software for the CADing, the computer aided design. I also work on research and development. Even the engineer who was working on that and the mechanic who was helping him didn't want to work on that, but I got it done. Lastly, I was always a funny person to be around. I will always humble. If I don't know anything, if I don't know what I'm doing, I will straight up say, like, I don't know what is going on. As a result, people people will enjoy being around me. So when they were doing the calibration for reverse engineering, we used my face. That is my face they scanned as a calibration, so that we know if our scanning tool is right or wrong. And you can see there's imperfections on the cheek. This is not my cheek. This is the photo of the scanning tool. The benefits you get working for United Airlines is the first one, my favorite, is that you get to fly for free. So I went to Paris for 1 weekend. I went to Rome for 10 hours. I went to Vancouver. I literally went there. I had some food, had some drinks, then went back. And you have to deal with the custom when they like, you just landed. Why? What did you do there? Like, why are you leaving? I also went to Vancouver for 1 weekend. I went 10 times to Maui and Honolulu. So maybe 7 Maui. So I would have a plan to go somewhere, and I will end up finding that the aeroplane is sold out. So I end up going to Maui. So one time I ended up going to Maui 4 times in a row. I started making friends over there because they can always see me. The second one, which will explain why we are very happy in that picture. So when you go to the airplane and you order any food or drinks, you have to hand the flight attendant your debit card, and you have to give her your badge because you end up getting a 10% discount. However, they will not swipe your card, and you get the food for free. That is why we're always happy when we're there. We just got, like, I think we got champagne and we got food for free. So, however, it doesn't work all the time. So if it didn't happen to you, don't blame me. Last one is the amazing people. So you are working with a company that is hiring people who are interested in traveling and airplanes. You cannot go wrong with that. Everyone will have something to offer to you. So take advantage and try to learn. Last one. The disadvantage is that the free flights are standby. So so if you are planning to go to Paris, you have to make sure that the flight back from Paris is empty, almost empty, so that you guarantee a seat, because you only board if there is an empty seat. So if that didn't happen, you'll end up sleeping in the airport like us. The second one is the internal hiring. If you are planning to work there full time, you have to be an intern. They have an army of interns, and if you are not one, your chance of getting full time is almost zero. But don't take it from me, just apply. I might be wrong. And be open to relocation. If they asked you what is your location preference, don't say San Francisco Airport if the career development is not in San Francisco. So work in Chicago, you'll be closer to Europe, so you can go to Europe easier. Or work in Houston. They always have full-time position over there. So don't get disappointed when you get a rejection. This is my story with rejections. So My first internship was BART, was not paid. I was a totally volunteer. I didn't even have an office. I was a field engineer just sitting under a tree till like all the time. The second the second internship was San Francisco Airport. This was the last place to reply to me after almost 40 rejections. So when I went there, I was prepared. I spent time. I didn't just go there and hoping for the best. No, you go there to get that internship. And as a result, I was lucky enough to get it. For United Airlines, I know it was very competitive to work in the summer, to get an internship in the summer. So as a result, I applied to the fall and I took a semester off. However, I was wrong. Apply in the summer and see where it will take you. With Boeing, now I have a full-time offer. However, I got rejected last year from them after even having an interview for an internship position. So I guess you got bored out of seeing me. So this is some rejections. So Schlumberger, Chevron rejection, Exxon rejection, Honeywell rejection, even after having United Airlines experience, I got rejected. And Boeing rejection last year, I think. So those are some of the tips I will give you to succeed. If you are not interested in the company you're applying to, don't apply. Maybe you will not get your dream job. However, apply for something related. So I assumed that I will not get United Airlines. I applied for San Francisco Airport. So have that in mind. If you want to work for Tesla and they are rejecting you, apply for another car company till you get some car experience. The second one, apply for government internships. Those are everywhere. So around the area where we are in, there is the city and county of San Francisco, city of Alameda, city of Oakland. In LA, there is the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. If you are interested in the energy sector, they are everywhere and they are easy to get into. Those are the people who reply to you with an almost empty resume. However, you will lose if you didn't prepare for the interview. And it happened to me before. Last one is prepare and search. If you ever get an interview, don't just go there and hope for the best. Go to Glassdoor, read every single question they ask the previous interns, and know your answer. Don't just go there and hope for the best. Then search the company. They will always ask you the big question, why do you want to work for us? And if you are not interested, they are not interested. The second one, so thank you everyone for showing up. Make sure you add me on LinkedIn or Facebook, and I will be outside to take a look.
Thank you, Beshoy, for showing us how hard work and persistence can really have unbelievable payoffs. Thank you. That wraps up our speakers for tonight. Let's give them a round of applause, please. And also to the team who put this on. And also to you guys. This night wouldn't have been a success without you, so thank you. Tonight you heard from 6 wonderful, talented speakers, and they proved that the path to success isn't always linear, so please carry with you their lessons that they learned as you go search for internships. Please talk to them at the networking lounge, as well as many other qualified individuals we have who have interned at places such as Amazon, Twitter, and Chevron. We are passing out event evaluations currently, so please fill those out and turn them in to get pizza. We look forward to seeing you in the networking lounge and at future Momentum events. Thank you for coming.